In the verdant hills of a small village in Uganda, life was simple, and everyone knew each other. The villagers shared in each other's joys and sorrows. Among them was Zuma, a wealthy and powerful man who belonged to an esteemed family and owned vast lands. He was respected widely for his wealth and influence. Yet deep inside, Zuma carried an immense insecurity and jealousy. He believed that marrying a virgin would be the only way to ensure complete loyalty. Zuma announced his search for a virgin bride throughout the village, causing a buzz among the women. Everybody wanted to be chosen, but he dismissed all who appeared too eager. He wanted someone genuine, not someone solely after his wealth. In the same village, a hard-working young farmer named Amare was deeply in love with a beautiful young woman named Nia. Nia was cherished for her beauty and strong spirit. Amare was relentlessly working to pay off Nia's bride price, but had fallen short due to his modest means. Nia's parents, while fond of Amare, wished for a more prosperous match for their daughter. One day, while passing through the market, Zuma overheard Amare's friend Tembo talking about Nia, who at 23 was still a virgin, and how Amare was struggling to pay her bride price. Zuma saw his opportunity and decided Nia would be his bride. Asking around, he quickly found her humble home. When Zuma arrived at Nia's house, he made a proposition to her father, Kato. He promised a hefty sum of gold, far beyond the rest of Nia's bride price. Kato, seeing an opportunity to lift his family out of poverty, agreed without hesitation. For Kato, this was a chance to ensure a better future for his family, ignoring the emotional cost for his daughter. Nia was devastated. Her heart belonged to Amare. She pleaded with her father, "Please, father, I love Amare. Don't do this." But Kato was firm, convinced this was the best course for their family. With a heavy heart, Nia rushed to Amare, tears streaming down her face. She told him everything, and Amare, driven by fear of losing her, went to Kato to beg for more time. However, Kato's decision was irrevocable. Zuma's arrival and engagement to Nia were quickly arranged, turning the village into a hub of gossip and speculation. The villagers were skeptical of the sincerity of Zuma's intentions, but his wealth overshadowed those concerns. Their wedding day came, celebrated with a grand feast, but for Nia, it was a day of sorrow. As Zuma took her away, promising a life of luxury, Nia could only think of Amare and the love they shared. Despite the heavy celebrations, it was clear that genuine happiness was absent. Part 2. Tragedy and Forced Marriage. Zuma, feeling victorious, entered Nia's modest home with an air of arrogance. Kato, opening the door, was taken aback by the presence of the wealthy man and invited him in with a mix of excitement and anxiety. Zuma wasted no time and laid a heavy sack of gold coins on the table, making his intentions clear. He wanted Nia as his wife. The sight of so much gold dazzled Kato. This was far beyond what he could ever dream of earning. Seeing his family's dire economic situation, Kato believed this was the opportunity of a lifetime. Zuma sweetened the deal by promising to repay Amare all the money he had spent on the bride price and to compensate the family further. Kato, driven by the vision of a prosperous future, agreed to the marriage proposal without hesitation, despite what this decision might cost his daughter emotionally. Nia, unaware of the arrangements being made in her own home, was busy daydreaming about her future with Amare. When Kato broke the news to her, her world collapsed. "Father, my heart belongs to Amare. Please don't do this," she cried. But Kato was resolute, believing this marriage to Zuma was for the greater good of the family, even if it meant breaking his daughter's heart. Devastated, Nia went to Amare and shared the shocking news. Amare, determined not to lose the love of his life, confronted Kato and pleaded for more time to gather the remaining bride price. Kato, however, was unyielding. "It's settled, Amare. You can never offer what Zuma can. This is best for our family," he declared. Nia and Amare were left heartbroken and helpless. Zuma, on the other hand, wasted no time in preparing for the wedding. The village buzzed with both excitement and unease over the hurried arrangements. Zuma's wealth and status guaranteed a grand celebration, masking the underlying resentment and sadness. On the wedding day, the village gathered to witness the union. The event was a spectacle of luxury and opulence, yet genuine joy was glaringly absent. Nia, adorned in the finest garments, walked down the aisle with a heavy heart, her eyes searching the crowd for Amare. But he was nowhere to be seen, likely hiding from the pain of losing her. Zuma, proud and satisfied, took Nia to his grand estate, promising her a life of luxury. Yet as the days passed, it became clear that his wealth and generosity were shallow comforts compared to the love and affection Nia had shared with Amare. Thus began a marriage built on wealth and power, but devoid of true happiness. Married life with Zuma quickly turned into a nightmare for Nia. Initially, Zuma showered her with lavish gifts, attempting to win her over with material possessions. But Nia's spirit was not swayed by gold or jewels. The true nature of his jealousy and insecurity soon manifested. Zuma started with small displays of jealousy. One day, Nia mentioned wanting to visit the market. Zuma immediately shut her down, fiercely declaring, "You don't need to go out. Whatever you need, I will bring it to you." If only she knew what was coming, she might have never set a foot outside her new home. Days turned into weeks, and Zuma's obsessive control only got worse. Nia's movements were continually monitored, and gradually she was confined to the house. Social isolation quickly followed. Nia's friend, Asha, decided to visit her one day. When Asha arrived, Zuma angrily barred her from entering, shouting, "No one is allowed in this house. Nia belongs to me, and I don't want any visitors." Nia's once vibrant social life faded into a memory. Even phone calls to her family became rare, always done under Zuma's watchful eyes. The physical confinement started to affect Nia mentally, her spirit withering under the constant surveillance and lack of freedom. The emotional abuse soon turned into physical enforcement. One night, without any apparent reason, Zuma locked Nia in a room. Her pleas for an explanation were met with silence, and every interaction outside mealtimes was cut off. This imprisonment was only the beginning, as Zuma found more ways to exert control over her. The apex of his oppressive measures came when Zuma gave Nia a heavy iron chastity belt to wear. Each morning before leaving, he would lock the belt with a padlock, taking the key with him. The cold metal dug into her skin with each movement, a constant reminder of her shackled existence. She felt like a prisoner in her own home, reduced to waiting for Zuma to come home to regain even the smallest sense of physical comfort. Rumors about Zuma's behavior spread through the village, but fear kept everyone silent. Yet, Nia's distress became palpable to those who cared for her. One day, while secretly visiting her, Asha witnessed Nia's torment firsthand. Holding back tears, she whispered, "Nia, you can't live like this. There has to be a way out." Despite Asha's words of encouragement, Zuma's overbearing presence and the iron belt, symbolizing her plight, left Nia feeling trapped with no escape. Freedom seemed a distant dream to Nia. Despite Zuma's cruel deeds, his hypocrisy knew no bounds. He roamed the village freely, seeking pleasure with other women while keeping his wife under lock and key. Everyone in the village was aware of his double standards, but his power and influence stifled any open confrontation. One morning, Nia overheard her father's voice at the gate. Kato had come to check on his daughter, hoping to see if she was all right and perhaps find a way to help. However, he was met with Zuma's furious wrath. "This is my home now. Nia is my wife and my responsibility. Don't ever come near here again," Zuma barked. Kato walked away, his heart heavy with regret and sorrow. Witnessing her father's failed attempt to intervene reminded Nia of her isolation and amplified her desperation. Days turned into endless cycles of suffering, each one chipping away at Nia's hope and sanity. She yearned for the simple joys she once knew, the laughter with friends, the freedom to move as she pleased, and most of all, the unyielding love she had shared with Amare. Every night, staring at the stars, she clung to the memories of their time together, drawing strength from the hope of one day reuniting. Despite the heavy chains of oppression, Nia's spirit remained resilient. She endured Zuma's tyranny, holding on to the belief that one day she would be free and once again embrace the love that had been so cruelly taken away from her. Months passed, and Nia's hopes for freedom dwindled. Zuma's oppressive rule over her life seemed unending, each day bringing a new form of torment. One morning, Zuma instructed Nia to wear the chastity belt once more before he left the house. This time, however, he did not return by nightfall. Worried and yet oddly relieved, Nia waited through the long night, but Zuma never came back. The following morning, dread and curiosity overtook her. Determined to find out what had happened, she knew she couldn't do it with the belt still on. During the pain, she hurried to the village blacksmith Zuma. Without asking too many questions, Zuma removed the lock, freeing her from this physical prison. Nia felt the temporary relief of freedom, but was anxious about what lay ahead. Despite the whispers and curious glances from the villagers, Nia set out to find Zuma. She asked everyone, but no one had any clue about his whereabouts. Disheartened, she returned home, only to find a strange man waiting by her gate. "I know where your husband is," he said, leading her to a small hut by the village river. Her heart raced as they approached it. She had no idea what to expect. Inside the dim hut, the scene before her eyes left her in shock. Zuma was trapped in a compromising position with Layla, the village beauty, who was known to be married to the powerful Kalulu. Kalulu, famous for his strong, mystical charms, had enchanted his wife with a spell that would ensnare any man who dared to lay a hand on her. Zuma was a victim of this spell, physically unable to detach himself from Layla. Seeing her husband in such a humiliating state, Nia felt a whirlwind of emotions. Zuma, who had locked her in a chastity belt, was himself trapped in an equally degrading situation. Villagers gathered, drawn by the commotion and curious about the fate of their once powerful peer. They murmured in shock and amusement, while Zuma, in utter agony and embarrassment, begged for release. Kalulu stood his ground, watching the scene unfold with satisfaction. "He deserves this," Kalulu declared, his voice filled with righteous anger. Nia, despite her resentment toward Zuma, couldn't bear the public humiliation he was enduring. She pleaded with Kalulu, "Please, release him. This has gone far enough." Kalulu, eyes cold and stern, replied, "If I release them, they will die. The magic binding them is strong and unforgiving." Zuma, hearing this, still begged to be freed, unable to bear the shame any longer. Kalulu, after much persuasion and seeing the genuine distress in Nia's eyes, reluctantly agreed to perform the separation ritual. It was a challenging process, filled with complex chants and ritualistic movements. Moments after they were separated, Zuma collapsed, breathless, and died within minutes. The villagers watched in stunned silence as the once feared tyrant lay lifeless on the ground. Nia, overwhelmed by a mix of emotions, returned home. She mourned Zuma in her way, recognizing the twisted life they had shared. While his death freed her from physical and emotional torture, it came at a considerable emotional cost. News of Zuma's death spread quickly, and soon Nia's family arrived to console her. With Zuma gone, Nia inherited his wealth and properties. Amid her grief and newfound freedom, she faced the enormity of managing her late husband's estate. Village support poured in, and with her family by her side, Nia started to rebuild her life. Kato, filled with guilt and regret for his role in her suffering, apologized deeply. "I'm so sorry, Nia. Please forgive me. I should have never done this to you," he wept. Nia, although deeply hurt, forgave her father. "It's over now, Dad. We must look forward and make better choices," she replied. Handling Zuma's wealth brought a sense of empowerment and control back into her life. She started using the resources to support her community and family, becoming a respected figure in the village. One day, as Nia was overseeing some work on her estate, she saw a familiar face at the gate. It was Amare. He approached her cautiously, his eyes still filled with the love he had always felt for her. "I just wanted to see how you are doing," he said softly. Nia's heart leaped with joy. She embraced him, tears streaming down her face. Nia and Amare began spending time together, rekindling the love they once shared. Amare had remained steadfast, never losing hope despite the circumstances. Their bond grew stronger, and soon the village prepared for another celebration, Nia and Amare's wedding. This time, it was a union founded on genuine love and mutual respect. The entire village gathered to witness the event, celebrating not just a marriage, but the triumph of true love over oppression. Nia and Amare's love story became a beacon of hope and resilience in the village. They lived together happily, using their combined resources to build a better life for themselves and those around them. Through their ordeal, they proved that true love and sacrifice could overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Their story echoed throughout the hills, teaching everyone that wealth and power could never buy genuine happiness, and that the greatest treasure of all is love and compassion.